Good afternoon. Progress today since this morning. The salvage crews are back on board. They landed early in the morning, a small team which is about preparation. That team went through and started to undertake some of the preparatory work for bringing the platforms out. This included making sure that they've got some of the kit and the lines and the hoses all set up so they're all ready to go. So, as of this morning, the vessel hadn't moved, and that was a good piece of news. The vessel appears to have settled onto the reef. The initial part was that the stern seemed to be buoyant, so that at high tide, what was happening was that the stern of the vessel was moving a lot more. But it seems like it's settled down onto the reef and is not having that much movement. The salvage teams put a dive survey down the port-hand side of the vessel to check and have a look at what the vessel's sitting on, remembering that it could be a pinnacle or it could be a flat section of the reef. Oiling in the region seemed to be a light sheen. It was coming mainly from the forward section of the vessel, and the feeling is that that's coming from inside the holes or inside the duck keel. And I'll show you the photos that you've no doubt seen before about the breaches in the number 3 hole. But when that's also in the area of the number 3 starboard fuel tank. And you can see that there, marked with a red circle. That's the first breach in the hole that occurred. And that goes right inside into the cargo hold. And so in that early part, oil would have gone in there and accumulated around the containers, as well as being in the duck keel right along the bottom. And then as the vessel works with waves, that oil will start coming out of that particular area. It's not a large amount of oil, it's a sheen, so it's not a large black trail out coming out of it. On the port side, that's the other the crack that you've seen, no doubt. Now that's in the region of the number 3 port fuel tank. And you'll recall right at the beginning the salvors worked really hard to take the oil out of that number 3 number 3 port tank and put that into number 5 port tank. So through those first early efforts, the salvors were able to prevent 300 odd tonnes of oil getting out into the ocean. So the next part comes about going on and extracting it out of the number 5 port. Once again, this picture just shows the light sheen of oil that's around the vessel. A lot of that is, as I say, coming from the duck keel or number 3 hole. With the recent bad weather, the vessel has moved. So in the dark outline, you can see the shape of and the location of the vessel when it first of all hit the reef, and then following all the rough weather, the whole vessel is being pushed around. It's no longer quite a straight line. It's got a kink in it, but not a great kink, if you know what I mean. And so that means that the stern of the vessel is being pushed around. So whereas previously it was the aft section of the vessel was over 50 metres of water, it's now sitting, or appears to be sitting, on the reef. That's good news for us, especially in the condition where it is broken, and that means that with luck, if the vessel, and we don't get any more bad weather, the vessel will rest on that reef and we'll be able to extract both the fuel and start working on containers. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the fuel budget. And what I mean by the fuel budget is what's on the vessel, what's missing, and where it is about the vessel. You'll recall port number 5 has 770 odd tonnes in it. Starboard number 5 has about 356 tonnes in it. There are 2 tanks in the middle of the engine room which they use to feed the engines immediately, and they're called settling tanks. Each of those tanks has about 110 tonnes in it. So the 700 tonnes in the port number 5 and the 220 odd tonnes in the settling tanks, we're pretty confident that that's there. We saw that in thermal imagery this morning, so we were able to see the heat from that oil coming up. And the inspection team from yesterday, they were able to sound those tanks and confirm that they hadn't been damaged and they were in good condition. Starboard number 5 is underwater, so we haven't got thermal imagery. The salvage team went on board yesterday and checked that tank. They found no ruptures in it on the inside, in the engine room, and they're quite relaxed about that it's in good condition. The next part is that, and we've got some pool footage that we've been able to obtain of the platforms that they're putting onto it, and they're going out. You'll probably hear my phone beep. The moment it goes out, my phone will beep, and that'll be when the first chopper's gone out. They spent all last night building these platforms. They hang over the top of the vessel, of the edge of where the deck joins the hull, and then they load down on by chains, and that provides a flat platform for them to operate. They're about the size of a standard desk, and they have handrails around the side of it, and there are 4 of them. And so what they have is one for their pump unit, their power pack, their hose reels, and the like. And so it's all set up for them to be able to operate these 4 little balconies, if you like, and operate them each with a different piece of equipment on them. They're going to go in through the manhole cover that they have over number 5 port, but they have to cut 2 little holes in the deck so they can get their hoses in nice in place. I haven't agreed to night operations yet, and so that means that they will have to set everything up and then extract out. The vessel's just not stable enough at the moment for them to be able to stay on board, so they'll come off tonight. That's the second. One other thing, I suppose, is the Awanuia, the bunker barge. That's been sitting off the Rena all day. It's been undertaking a whole range of rehearsals. So what it's doing is it's actually setting itself up to be able to remove the oil, and it's been practicing to make sure it can get close and have the appropriate safety margins there. So they've gone through their fuel transfer plan, they've made sure that works, and the whole of the system is operating. So once again, it's about that precautionary measures so that the moment they are ready to go, then the Awanuia can go to the proper lineup and then come back and receive the oil. If the weather stays fine and everything goes well, they might be able to start transferring fuel tomorrow. How long will it take? I don't know. They're going to once again take it slowly to start with to make sure everything's set up and appropriate, and then over time they will gradually increase the amount of fuel they're transferring. Remembering that the fuel is no longer hot, it's cold, dense, like Marmite. Thank you.